upon the horizon. It's been said that those that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear will play a paramount role in the furthering of humanity and civilized society. But can civilized society and humanity survive the coming conflicts not seen since a dawn of time in ages by past? But you can find true forms of information and knowledge in abundance at revolution.radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the globe. Stand upon the right side of history. Revolution.
And welcome to Morning Coffee Rants with Dan here on Revolution.radio every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. Today's date is January 15th, 2026, in the year of all of us. I got a good show lined up today with some pretty good advice for what's coming up in the world, for what, everything that's going on. I'll start the show off by saying Ordo ab chaos. That's Latin for order out of chaos. It's a Freemasonry saying, Ordo ab chaos. Order out of chaos. They've got a certain thing they want to do. They institute chaos, and you will beg for any order that can be restored, and they will restore it, their order. There are theories, and then there are conspiracies. I don't hyphenate those words. I think we need to zoom out a little bit. I'm seeing a lot of, I get inboxed and hit up by cops. Okay, so anyone who doesn't know who I am, I spent 27 years in uniformed services, United States Marine Corps during the first Gulf War. I worked as a federal law enforcement officer for over 13 years for a two-letter agency, medical agency. I worked for, multiple different municipal police departments. I also worked in a prison. I've been around. Okay. I know what I'm seeing. So I really want to put this out there to any new listeners, to any listeners who are in law enforcement. I know the good ones and the bad ones. I know that there's a lot of you that are good, and know you guys are stuck between a rock and a hard place with the things that are going on. But remember, don't let them turn us against them. They've obfuscated what right and wrong are on purpose. The oath you took was to protect and serve the people, not to protect and serve the arbitrary dictates of immoral, corrupt, greed, and ego-driven politicians. And you know that's what you're dealing with. You can't stand them. I know you can't because I was in that job. I know what we all talked about. So you have to be the one to not follow immoral orders that they want you to follow. I would say this to every military and police personnel on the entire planet. This has all been a very well-planned thing that they're doing. 2020 should show you that all the governments of the world worked in tandem to put diapers on all of our faces and lock us all down. Now, I know there's a few people here and there and a few countries here and there who didn't do it. Their presidents met untimely demises. That's just probably another coincidence. It's all you coincidental theorists out there. But I would start really taking a look at things. I'm not saying get scared. I'm saying start thinking smart. Stay calm. But zoom out. Look at the bigger picture of what's happening in the world. They're threatening our president. He's being threatened by Iran. Over in the Middle East, there's complete chaos. These wars are being started by the governments for a purpose, for a reason, for Agenda 21, 2030. They want us to own nothing and be happy. They're being directed by a priest class of people who's being directed by something that I don't think is human. Now, that's a theory, okay? That's the difference between the other stuff I'll talk about, which are actual conspiracies, like the first planned pandemic in 2020 was a conspiracy. But my theory is this isn't human-driven. Humans are, quite frankly, I think, too lazy to do all this. So they want to create as much confusion as possible and keep everyone fighting with each other. If they can keep you guys, the left and the right, the people who vote. See, here's the thing. People can't even fathom how someone like me doesn't pick a side. He's sitting on the fence. You know, some religious person will say, well, since you're neither hot or cold and you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I don't sit on no fences. I'm not part of this left or right paradigm. I am a free human man. When I have a decision, when I have an opinion, when I know what I'm objectively looking at, my opinions are more objective because I don't have a political filter that I run my thoughts through. I don't need my side to be right. I don't need my team to win. You have to get the hell out of this identity politics. You got to get over yourself. You got to get over your ego. You got to be able to say, I was wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be fooled, bamboozled by these dark psychologists that work for the government. That's their fucking job. That's what they do. You got to look deep down within your own pain, your own hurt, your own unhealed traumas for your own personal prejudices. Where are your prejudices at? Where your prejudice starts is also where your opinion starts. The authoritarian bullshit they did back in 2020 when Biden was in office, because I keep hearing, well, Biden let everybody in. He kept letting and I don't want to be a political show. Everything that's going on politically, I talk about natural law here for a reason. What's happening in the world politically is a symptom of a profoundly sick, slave-driven society. I don't want to stay on politics. But you got to be able to understand that isn't it feasible that government people get together, that all go to the same colleges, are in the same skull and bone society, they're in the same clubs, They get together, they plan out what they're going to do, and the one guy makes a big deal out of letting people into the country. It's all over mainstream, quote unquote, fake news, right? It's everywhere. And it riles you up. And then it gives the other side, when they come in, the excuse to do what they're doing, which looks like pure totalitarianism to me. Now, of course, the news is going to put on the worst case scenarios, always. If it bleeds, it reads. They want to get the most type of emotional reaction out of you as possible. They want to keep you in a state of fear. If you're in a state of fear, you're easy to control. So really just take a look at things. Don't be in a state of fear over this, but try to objectively look at what they're doing. They're working together, folks. I don't know what else to tell you. I'll try to frame it a little differently every single week, but that is the basic frame of it. They're all in on it. Okay? That's going to be my hot take on politics for today. Hold on a second. Again, just understand, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't vote. I don't pick the lesser of two evils because the lesser of two evils is still evil. If you are an evangelicist right-wing person who belongs to that cult, that's two cults in one, who is, or is it real? And you don't care about kids being blown up, I'm not siding with you. If you're the far left with blue and purple hair and you think that being attracted to a minor is some type of sexual preference, I don't identify with you either. Okay? Without insulting you both, I don't want to say you're both retards. I just want to say I don't pick the lesser of two evils. It's still evil. You need to have a little compassion. And I know I shouldn't be saying the R word, but if you really look it up in a dictionary, what does retarded growth? What does how do you define retard? Here, I'm on the air. I'll do it right now. Hold on a second. Retard. Okay. Wow. Retard definition. Let's see what we got. Okay, retard. Here's the definition. Okay. To delay or hold back in terms of progress, development, or accomplishment. So I think we can pretty much say that human freedom and the growth of higher consciousness and care for our fellow human beings has been completely retarded. So if you're for one evil and against the other, but you're still for one of the evils, you're retarded. And you could bring yourself up out of it. Okay? I hate to sound, I don't mean to sound inflammatory, but I don't know how else to put it. And there's people out there who are scared. There's going to be law enforcement officers out there who are scared because some of them are going to get hurt. They want this. They want this. So to people who are out there protesting, you're not really doing anything. This isn't changing the hearts and minds of the authoritarian Gestapos that want to enslave all of us. Not how you do it. You got to change the hearts and minds. Yelling and screaming at them isn't going to do nothing. Okay? Keep in mind, a lot of the people that have been hired on, they're going to have a lot of young, ego-driven people that they're hiring on to do this job because older people got more sense. Hopefully, I would hope. I'm not, really not really seeing all that lately, but again, this isn't a political show. If we can learn just to a 10, 11, 12-year-old level of what objective morality under natural law is, these problems would go away in a couple years. They really would. Let me Well, I gotta say this too. I'm going to be talking about what's going on today, but before I get into that, the bulk of my work could be found on YouTube at Spiritual Anarchist at Daniel AR 5907. That's Spiritual Anarchist Daniel AR 5907. I'm also on the One Great Work Network. That's onegreatworknetwork.com /Dan-Arnold. Excuse me, I'm still sick just like I was last week. This fine, balmy weather we have here in the middle of Ohio, 14 degrees. But we've seen some violence from ICE agents. We've seen what appears to be people just being kidnapped, and they're screaming they're American citizens, and they're actually speaking perfect English. So that's suspect to me. It's just suspect. You can't let police of any kind, and I was a cop. I understand the frustration. I understand there's a lot of people on the right like, we want to get our pound of flesh back from 2020. Dude, you're not getting your pound of flesh back. You're actually continuing the psychological operation from 2020. You're a continuance of it without even realizing it. Because you won't zoom out and look at everything. You won't look at history. You won't study other things. Okay? There's a whole bunch of things you can study. Let me see here. Let me see something real quick. I'm looking for something. If I could find it. I have a whole list of books that I want to put out here for people to read. And you can get a lot of these books in audio format, and you can listen to them. They'll educate you. They'll give you a good idea of what's going on. A book by Jim Keith, Mass Engineering Human Consciousness by Jim Keith. Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper, who was a naval intelligence officer. Read Species of the Gods by Michael Tillinger. Research some of the work done by Michael Tsarion on Atlantis, okay? And any other books you can get on Atlantis. There's a reason why the Atlantic Ocean is called the Atlantic Ocean. There really was another civilization here. This is why they burnt down the library at Alexandria. They wanted us to start from scratch. We've been past where we are right now in technology before. Look at the other great resets when there's been these big cataclysmic events in our history. Start taking in a wider, eclectic view of everything. Don't get stuck in your own feels, in your own emotions, about your own prejudice. Okay? We need to extend love to our fellow human beings of any country. This earth is divided up by imaginary lines with people who think they own things in those lines. We all belong to terra firma. We all belong to Gaia, to Mother Earth. We're all children of God the Most High. And we all have a birthright of freedom and the pursuit to happiness, to be left unaccosted by others. Now, for any cops that are listening to me or anyone in law enforcement, when they see, oh man, he's an anarchist, listen, I don't like to hyphenate words, but I purposely hyphenate spiritual anarchist, just so someone who doesn't know the etymology of words, and that's not your fault, colloquially speaking, everyone thinks anarchy means chaos. It doesn't mean chaos. What's going on in the world right now? Stop and think for a second. I'll give you a second. What do we have in the world right now? If you thought to yourself it's pretty chaotic and there's chaos in the world right now, you're absolutely right. The world has broken out in governments. Okay? It hasn't broken out in anarchy. An is simply the Greek prefix meaning without. Archon means ruler. Anarchon, anarchy, anarchism means without a ruler. No rulers, no masters, no servants, no slaves. Self-ownership. Okay, true anarchists aren't downtown every 4 years during the election burning and flipping over police cars. You'll never see us do that. We're the most peaceful people on the planet, but that doesn't mean we're harmless. We're just peaceful. We believe in the self-defense principle, and we believe in the non-aggression principle. So I want to stay right out front, even though I can come across as abrasive. I believe in non-aggression. We can disagree, and that's fine. But just understand where I'm coming from when you see, oh my God, he's an anarchist. Because I have lost left-wing friends 5 years ago when I was speaking out against their freaking psyop with that scamdemic, because I knew what that bullshit was. And they thought, well, if you're speaking out against this, you must be for that orange guy. No. And since then, I've lost right-wing friends and cop friends and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, I don't care. I don't care if you like me. I'm speaking the truth. I've spoken my truth. I've put my garbage and trash on the streets. Now I'm going to call nonsense on the shit that I see. We have to unite. Humanity assemble. We have to come together. And quit being triggered by someone else's beliefs. Talk to each other. Talk to each other from a standpoint of wanting discernment on how someone thinks. Not from a standpoint of we're going to debate because I got to win a debate. The winner of most debates today are just really, really good at being fucking wrong. That's what I think about debates. So Ben Shapiro, he's a great debater. I probably couldn't beat him in a debate. He's really great at being wrong. That's all debates are to me. Speak to somebody, talk to somebody with the intention of discernment. All right, so anyway, I'm done preaching with that. I got some actionable advice I wanted to go over today. As a guy who was in the Marine Corps and been on a couple of special response teams, I got tactical training, even though I look like a hippie. The reason I look like a hippie is because if you want to really be tactical, don't look tactical. Okay? Believe me, I look like a hippie. My hair's down to almost down to my nipples if you see me in person or on one of my podcasts. I don't look like a guy who's tactical or has any knowledge at all, which is how you want to look. You won't see me if all chaos broke out all over the place. You wouldn't see me walking around with a full kit on and my armor on and my magazines. I'm not going to put myself out there as a combatant at that point. You want to stay a little more ambiguous, okay? There's Grayman protocols. There's ways you can stay more ambiguous and still be deadly if you need to be. Maybe I'll start going over some of that kind of stuff. Remember, I don't agree with everything the psychiatrist Jordan Peterson says. I really don't. I think he's wrong on some very specific things, but he's very knowledgeable, and I can't ever take nothing away from him. I've watched a lot of his work, and this is his quote: "A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man that keeps that under voluntary control." So people who know me in person don't think that because I'm so affable and so nice, that I'm not capable of flipping the switch on you. I am. I just rather would not. Okay, we need unity. We really do. Where's Queen Latifah? UNITY. We need unity. But anyways, I wanted to get that message out there to any law enforcement officers. I feel for you. I was in your line of work. A lot of you are stuck between a rock and a hard place and are probably counting down the days till you get the hell out of that job. Just understand when you get out of that job, what you're still going to be dealing with is other people in it who aren't going to care about what you did. They're snatching people up and taking them away. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And they're keeping you fighting one another on purpose. Because if we were to unite, it's game over for them. It is game over. There's 8 billion people on this planet. How many of them do you think are the leaders and order followers? 50 million, maybe altogether, out of 8 billion. If we united, their game's over. Okay? Well, with that said, we have all this fear going on, right, with authoritarian encroachments on freedom. There's all these different reports of ICE detaining U.S. citizens. Okay, there's going to be accidents. It happens. We know. Like kids accidentally get blown up in war. Yeah, it happens. We'll say sorry after the fact. We know World War III is about to break out, And believe me, I think the World War III is a spiritual war. It's not merely physical. I think it's going on more than just this plane of existence, in my opinion. Again, that's just a theory. But I got a few safety tips. So there are 5 things that people should be aware of during these times for physical and emotional safety. Because the worst rarely happens, and they're constantly showing you the worst all over the news. And people get stressed out. I see it. Well, he's been watching a lot of news. I can tell. He's pretty stressed out. Just go driving. You'll see how people are. But number 1, and I've got this, 5 is a very special number to me, okay? Before I even get into that, February 21st and 22nd, speaking of 5, I will be doing a presentation called The Hammer and the Flame, A Soul's Journey at Freedom Under Natural Law 5, Funnel 5, on February 21st and 22nd. So 5 is one of those special numbers to me for some reason. I've got several numbers I like. 5 happens to be one of them. So I have 5 things that we should be aware of for our physical and emotional safety. Okay, number 1 is know your nervous system and how to keep it regulated. All right. The world is very unpredictable, and it's really easy with all the crap we're watching for our bodies to slip into fight or flight. That's not healthy for you. Fight, flight, or freeze. And there's nothing actually going on in front of you to be like that. Okay? That's just a stress on your adrenal glands. That's a stress on everything on your body. So, research shows that mindfulness and grounding breath work and some time outdoors, maybe, even if it's cold out, will help regulate your nervous system. It gets you moving, get you breathing. A person who's got more of a regulated emotional system, a regulated nervous system, is going to make better on-the-spot decisions. They're going to be able to spot real threats more clearly and avoid reacting to different things. Okay, you don't want to react. In certain situations, you want to be able to take in the situation and then make a response based on calmness. Now, if you got a bear jumps out of the bushes right in front of you, okay, you should be reacting then. So don't get this confused. There's a time to react, and you let instincts take over. This is one of the reasons why I said as a trainer, you will never rise to the occasion in any type of dangerous situation, but you will fall to the level of your training. So you should be training. So that way when you do have to automatically react, it's an automatic reaction. Okay? So some of the ways that you can do this to regulate your nervous system, which I might have to do after the show, to be honest with you, is slow nasal breathing. Just deep breaths in through your nose. And always make that out breath slow, controlled, and a little bit longer. Okay? Splash cold water on your face. Maybe you have an object. I wear a Mjolnir. Touch an object. If you have a crucifix, touch it. Something that brings you into the now. Walk outside. Look up at the trees, at the sky. It's snowing out. It's pretty out right now. See what's going on around you that can get you into the moment. Okay, number 2, limit your doom scrolling and information overload. I've had people tell me, oh, this is happening, that's happening. I'm like, really? When did this happen? Oh, it just happened a few hours ago. Look at the news. I don't look at the news. But I will check certain things a couple times a day to see if something new is going on. A lot of times social media is good for that. And then if it's something I want to look up because I see, oh, well, something must have happened, and then I'll look it up. I'm not going to stay glued to all these people who've got their unhealed, bought and paid for opinions that they're shoving down your throat. I don't need to hear it. So you should actually, because all it's going to do is it's going to create anxiety, and it's going to make you hyper vigilant and feel hopelessness. And there is hope. And when you put out that hope, when you think of other times throughout human history where we've been in bad positions, here we are still. And we're living in one of the most remarkable times in human history. So there is something to look at as far as that's concerned. So you want to definitely have 1 or 2 times a day that you give yourself maybe 10 minutes to check for what's going on, and then get off of it, man. You already know from the last 5-6 years the trash we got going on in the world. All right, the world's about to break out in a complete war everywhere. It's not going to come right to your doorstep right away. All right, so live your life a little bit. And this matters because the fear-based media, it will hijack your nervous system. You don't want that happening. You want to keep everything together. Okay, so I also have some practical boundaries. Okay, like I said, set specific times for the news. Avoid news before sleep. Avoid emotionally charged comment sections. Don't start reading these comments until you need to comment. I just scroll right by it. I won't get involved in any of those fights. It's not proving nothing. It doesn't help nothing. You gotta ask yourself, is this helping anything? Is this making a difference, or am I just letting my ego write something on Facebook? Am I going to change anyone's mind? If you are going to write something that will make somebody think. Don't just write from your feels. Okay, a lot of times those emotional reactions, you can't do that. I see a lot of that going on. I have cops hit me up like that. I got a lot of other ones saying, "Man, you're right on." So I'm getting both. Okay. Number 3, strengthen your human connections. So during uncertain times, people often withdraw. And now I talk about solitude, but I'm not lonely. I have connections around here. Connection is one of the strongest protections of mental health. Any addiction you have, it will be gone because of connection. We need people. We are a tribal. Everyone wants to find their pack. Everyone wants to find their tribe. Everyone wants to belong. So if you got people around you, find some people that you trust and have connections. Because isolation is just going to, it's just going to amplify fear. Where connection and venting your, fears or worries or whatever with somebody else and running things by somebody that you can trust and talk to. Have a handful of people that you can trust. Know who you can trust. Honestly, very important. You probably, if you're really a type of person who's for the real, you've probably got 5 people or less that you can actually trust. Okay. So it's important to stay in touch with friends. I stay in touch with childhood friends. I go to the gym. I see people at the gym. I talk with people at the gym. I talk with people. You get out and talk with people a little bit. All right. We do have a pack instinct. We need to feed that. It makes us feel safe. Okay. Number 4, focus on what you can control. Okay. Uncertainty creates stress because, we're trying to predict the unpredictable. What's going to happen next? And I've been wrong so many times just in the last year as a conspiracy analyst, and I've been wrong. Oh my God, did I just admit I was wrong? Holy shit, I can't believe that. Yeah, I've been wrong. So don't sit there and try to predict I'm not saying don't worry about the future, but don't get overly caught up in trying to predict things you can't control. What you can control is your physical health. Get at least 7 hours of sleep a night. Okay. Eat good food. Stay away from processed sugars and processed food in general, and get some exercise. Move, even if it's walking, even if you're stuck indoors on a 14-degree day. Walk inside your house, do laps, pace a little bit. Doesn't matter. Get your body moving, lift some weights, anything. Have documentation with you anywhere you go, especially nowadays. Have your driver's license, birth certificate. Have things like that with you that you always have on your person. They're going to be asking for this stuff. And believe me, what they're doing now is being done on purpose, and they're making the mistakes they're making. Here's a theory. I think it's a conspiracy. They're going to make the mistakes they make, and they're doing what they're doing. So guess what we'll need next? Digital IDs to prove who we are. Like, literally, this is fucking checkers to me. All right, but anyways, I digress again. So you can't control global geopolitics. You can't control government's decisions or other people's reactions or their emotions. You can't control the future. You can control where you're at right now. Okay, practice number 5, practice discernment. Don't catastrophize. This is something I am prone to doing. Because of all my jobs as a cop, I've seen some of the worst stuff. I have to immediately go to worst case scenario, and then I backtrack from there. Okay? So to my civilian friends out there, just so you know how a lot of cops are trained and how cops think. Any situation they come across can turn into a deadly force situation in which some mentally ill person is going to try to shoot them. When I would go to a call, and I wasn't a bad cop. I was a good cop. I didn't write a lot of tickets. I wasn't one of those types of guys. I'm going to get more into what I did at Funnel 5. But I had to be ready for this person might have a gun. Okay, I'm going to de-escalate. My awareness is going to come down from that point. I don't go in scared. I just go in aware that this could be a very dangerous situation, especially domestic violence calls, where you have to have the ability to talk people down. Okay. So anyway, don't catastrophize is what I'm getting at. I've catastrophized too many times for my own liking, because that's something I work on myself. Because doing that's just going to create more, anxiety. When you worry about the future, that's your anxiety. And anxiety is screaming at you. Anxiety is loud. And it's fear about a future that has not occurred yet. Okay? No different than ruminating. If you're constantly ruminating over the past, you're putting stress on your system. And again, what is it accomplishing? The past has already occurred. It's done. All you have is right now. Now, don't sacrifice the future. You should have plans to protect yourself and protect others. Okay, know where your line in the sand's at. I'll get to that point here in a minute. But discernment questions. Is this thought I'm having, is it fear-based, or is it evidence or imagination? Is this happening now, or is it a projection? What would I tell a friend who felt this way? So if you're scared, what type of advice would you give a friend if they felt like how you did? Because we're really good at giving advice. We're terrible at taking it. So play that game. Give a friend the advice that if they were feeling how you feel, and then be like, wow, that's good advice. Maybe I'll listen to it myself. These are the kind of games we have to play with ourselves sometimes. What is the next wise step? Not dramatic step. Okay, there might be a time where you want to get dramatic as possible and get media in on everything, and yeah, man, let's go nuclear on this. Let's get it on CNN. Let's go all over the place. Okay, that's fine, but in most cases, what is the next wise step? Sometimes it's stillness, right? And this is how you will spiritually stay awake without becoming spiritually, emotionally, physically overwhelmed, because it's very easy to happen. They're going to have you. Everyone's going to have this state, a fog of war, is basically what they're going to get. Look up fog of war. Soldiers historically have had it. They're doing that to society. You're having fear porn pushed on you through every social media, with your heads glued in your phones, on TV, if you even know what's happening. There's a subculture of people in this country that don't know or don't even care what's happening. Honestly, I wish I could be like them. They're probably living their best lives. I don't know. Hold on a second. All right, so have a simple, realistic emergency plan. Know where would you go if you needed to leave the area. Have a small go bag with the basic supplies that you would need. Keep your phone charged. Maybe keep one of those little extra charging things where you could recharge it. Okay, you're not prepping for the apocalypse. You're prepping for a 2 or 3 day survival. If you had to move, right? If you had to get going, you need to anchor yourself in your purpose. What is your purpose in these situations? Know what you stand for. Know what you protect, and know what you refuse to compromise on. This is going to stabilize your psyche during uncertainty. Don't go making your last stand over some bullshit. You're not helping nobody. Courage should be right beside you where you can see it out of your peripheral vision. Courage should never be up in front of you because you're going to be too brave and get yourself unalived. Courage shouldn't be behind you either because you'll never take action. It should walk right beside you. and fear should also walk right beside you on the other side. Be balanced. Don't surrender to violence. Okay? Just don't. There's usually better ways out than violence. Okay? What I have now is I just came up with I should call it 2 number 5s. It's a 10-point survival checklist, just in case you needed, just some items you should have. And I've done this before, but I wanted to do this again. The one I did last time was probably a little too tactical, so the one I'm doing now is a little bit less tactical. If you have a small .380 firearm to put in a bug-out bag or something like that for self-defense with 1 or 2 magazines, something that's carryable, I would do that. And a knife, a tool, right? You don't want to be carrying cases and cases of ammo. Okay, you're not going out to fight some war. This is for self-defense, man. This is for like a 3-day survival thing. Take what's carryable. Remember, what you pack, you're going to have to carry maybe, right? So the first thing you're going to want is a reliable multi-tool. Okay, something that covers cutting, gripping, tightening, opening, and improvising. All right, a good multi-tool is good to have. The second thing you should have, which is very important, is a portable water filtration. I have these nice ones that will go through over 1,000 gallons of water. A 16-ounce bag, you fill it up with whatever water liquids around, you screw the filter on, and you can squeeze the water right out, and it tastes delicious, trust me. Because I've got well water that doesn't taste very good, and when I run it through a filter, it's delicious. Just remember, those filters are going to get clunked up depending on the severity of the contamination of the water, depending how dirty it is. So you learn how to clean those filters. They can be cleaned and reused. But definitely have, and it's small. That's the whole thing. It's 16 ounces is what it holds, okay? You need hydration. All right. Have a compact first aid kit that has bandages, antiseptic, gauze, gloves, basic medical essentials. Okay. Some people say don't have a trauma kit. I say a small trauma kit could be in there, a tourniquet could be in there. Why not? It's not heavy. Put it in there. Have some type of external battery or recharging thing. I have one that weighs about 3 pounds, and it'll run a computer. It'll recharge cell phones, and it fits in that bag. It fits in the bug-out bag that I have weighs about 14 pounds. Yeah, it's not heavy. So you want to be able to recharge your stuff. This could be a lifeline. Have weatherproof fire starting ability. All right, you want to keep it waterproofed. I use real thick Glad Ziploc bags. I'll double Ziploc them. Plus, I'll have them in a waterproof wrapping, and I'll have the whole bag that can be put into a waterproof wrapping. You can have a waterproof liner inside the bag, and then you put everything within that. Because some of your stuff you don't want to get wet, and fire is important. Not only will fire help your morale, actually, it's calming. It'll keep you warm. Have some candles. Throw a candle or 2 in there. That's important. Flashlight, right? Have an emergency blanket, thermal blanket. It's something that holds in the body heat. Thermal wrap. They're very light. They look space agey, but they'll help. I've also got a very light, maybe 1 pound small blanket that's like a sleeping bag that I would get that in with the thermal wrap, because that will hold your body heat in, okay? Something that's important if you're out moving around, especially in weather like this, don't be thinking you're a survivor, man, and running and jumping and doing all this crazy stuff. If you sweat in 14-degree weather, you die. You do not want to do anything so hellacious that you sweat. You should be dressed in layers so you can take layers off as you need to, so you've always got dry clothes. But that's going in a little more in depth than I want to today. Okay, number 7. Okay, this is just 10 things. 7, have a small durable flashlight. I have a flashlight that I bought at the dollar store, and it's got ridge lines on the front of it, which can be used as an improvised weapon if I need it to be, but have a flashlight. Have portable nutrition, man. Just get a couple boxes of protein bars. They're 200 calories a pop, 15 to 20 grams of protein with all these other nutrients in them. You can eat them on the go. You don't have to cook them. Keep that in a bag. Remember, we're talking about 3-day survival bag. As you're bugging out someplace, you have something with you, okay? Keep it in your vehicle. It does you no good if you have it in your house. What if you're at the store and shit hits the fan? You want to be able to go right from there. Have it with you. I also keep emergency blankets and emergency coats in my vehicle. Common sense stuff that most people who live in cities or most people who live in this, this age that we're in now, they're just not used to doing. Okay? During COVID 1984, during that PSYOP, you know who wasn't affected by it? The Amish. They weren't affected by it at all. In fact, they had no illnesses because they didn't have a TV. All right? So yeah, have portable nutrition. Something else that's important to have a physical map of your area. Because when the phone dies, you're not going to have GPS. Have a physical map. Okay? You can buy them at different gas stations and stores. Have a map. Have a small notebook and a pen. Have contacts written on, like your contacts that you have in your phone. You might not have all those phone numbers memorized. Have those phone numbers written down in your pad and pad and paper in case you are detained or something, and they do give you any calls or rights. You have a number. It also allows you to take notes on things you see that could be important for later on. To write down what you're seeing. Okay? Because your memory under stress is going to be unreliable. If you write it down, if you jot down a couple words that spark your memory, boom. So it's important to have. Again, keep a driver's license or some type of identification on you. I'm not a real fan of what I'm seeing going on. This isn't the kind of law enforcement that I want to see. Also, I'm going to warn you of this. I see a lot of stuff on Facebook where they're showing local cops arresting ICE and blah, blah, blah. That's AI and that's actors. It's fake as hell. Don't believe any of that kind of stuff you see. Just don't. They may have protocols in any given city where they're not going to aid or help, but they're not out there arresting them. And that's all they keep throwing on Facebook. The psychological reason behind that is because you'll be like, oh, they got this handled. I see the good cops are handling it. No, they ain't. No one's coming to save you but you and a very few close friends that you got. With that said, that's a bunch of doomsaying in one, radio show after I just said, don't doomsay. This is just how you should be prepared. Just a little bit of preparation will go a long way, and it will give you a positive state of mind knowing you took some type of proactive action in your life that you could control. Because in every situation, there's always something, one little thing that you could control, and that's what you have to pay attention to. That's what's going to help you. That's what will save you. And in the end, remember this. We are beings of light in these flesh puppet bodies. None of us are getting out of here alive, and there is an afterlife. I've died twice. I know. I've had metaphysical experiences where spiritual mediums, I've had family members come through who've passed over, and there's no way that they would know what they know if they weren't actually talking to a family member. This isn't the end of the line here. Even though every fiber of our being wants survival, if you're a normal person, that's what you should want. Don't let fear of death override other things in your life. Because all fear of death does, it steals the joy from the moment. And there's a lot of joy in the moment. I have joy every day with my dog Knuckles, with my friend Tree, with my neighbor, with people at the gym. Don't let this stuff steal the joy of the moment, man. Okay? Once you start figuring out the truth that morals are objective and natural law is always in effect, and you start to know something about this, occulted information that's been de-occulted, go to the onegreatnetwork.com, look at the information there. Start speaking out. Okay? Remember, violence isn't the answer. Don't surrender to it until you absolutely have to for self-defense. And hopefully that time doesn't come. Hopefully calmer, stronger minds prevail before it gets to any type of worst case scenario. But anyway, I think we're coming up on the end here. Yeah, there's only about 4 or 5 minutes left. I'm probably going to end the show a little bit early this week, man. Prayers for everyone's safety. Stay healthy. And see y'all next week, man. Nothing but love. Peace out.